Hello YouTube, iFixItAll here, Team iFixItAll. We got a microwave in the on the workbench today. It failed earlier this year. It was the big capacitor, but I did get a couple of spare parts for this thing. The diode and a spare control board capacitor. This is the spare here. Couple things. I got a spare fuse for the control board. Usually I keep all that in a Ziploc baggie inside the device, and that was in a Ziploc baggie in here. But what's going on with the microwave is it's failing because if you call for heat, you go to use it, light comes on, control panel works, everything's working fine. Turntable won't spin and it won't heat. So this is a model number with a flashlight. Hopefully, prop that door open a little bit. So GE. Oh crap! Whoa! This LED flashlight made things strobe. It looks like it is a Bookie, watch out. Silly cat. Looks like it is a JVM1540SM1SS. Date code June 2007. That's Juliet Victor Mike 1540 Sierra Mike 1 Sierra Sierra. So a couple of things came to mind. A turntable motor, maybe. We'll see what that does. Okay, so it's not locked up. I don't know if it's electrically working, but I know that it turns. I'll have to flip this thing around to get to it, but let's look at some other common sense items. I know there's limit switches or control switches, or interlocks probably is the better word, up in here in these little rectangle holes here. Am I zoomed in? Yes, probably. Of course I am. Seems like I say that every video. So if you see these little paws here, these paws approach those square holes, and the engineers would not have spent engineering time and labor designing that in such a way when they don't even yeah, they're doing work. Something's happening. Plus on the bottom I can see witness marks where they're interacting with something down in these little crevasses here, so up in these little caves. I think I should be able to get to the micro switches up in here. Oh, I hit one. It doesn't look the same. It's got like a little black piece back there, and this one is white. I mean, it could work differently, but I'm not sure what's going on. Of course, the micro switch could be down in there somehow. Let's take a look over here and see what we got. Let's take a look. There's three. Where's my pointer? There's one, 2 and 3. I can see stuff happening. Let's see what's going on. Oh, that's complicated. There's 2 clicks right there. Zoom in, you can see that going on. See that? The things and stuff happening. Oh, it looks like they're color-coded too. The upper switch in my lens right now, this switch has a green or a blue button, and that one has orange. I don't see a button on that one. What the hell is that? Where's the button? I may have just found my problem. I may have just found the issue. I don't know. Let's see how this works. Oh yeah, cool. It even is designed to where the top switch here kicks in first and then the bottom one kicks in. It must be a necessary engineering step for stepping in something like, let me zoom back a little bit. Now that may not be true, but it looks like this switch here is getting stepped in before this one. Yeah. What's this one doing? See what we can figure out here. What the hell's going on? There's no button on the top of that thing. I see orange right where this door latch is. There's a dot of orange. Let me get that switch out of there and let's have a look at it. Hang tight. I'm back, and looks like we got the upper switch just hard to explain, but it will just simply snap out. It uses these pre-molded holes here as a point of lockdown, but you'll figure it out if you have the same problem. I don't think I need to be so zoomed in. Me and my zoom. They make an app that says unzoom. So, it's flush. Let me see if I can flick it. Hello, orange button. Ha! Well, I think I just found my problem. Alright, so I'm going to unplug this micro switch and jumper this connector out with a wire, and then energize this. I'm going to fire up the microwave and see if the turntable works, and see if that works, then that probably means it's going to heat as well. Hang tight. Well, I got me a jumper wire installed. Kind of offset jumper wire. We'll see what happens. I'll be able to tell if it's working, because before, when I powered it up, the fan works, the control panel works, the timer, everything about this thing works, the blower, if I didn't already say that. But before, there was just no turntable, and I could tell the magnetron wasn't kicking on, because that's the magnetron, by the way. It wasn't kicking on because I didn't see the illumination inside the microwave load down. When the magnetron is in the game, because this isn't full duty, I think this magnetron goes out in like bursts and then disconnects by way of the control board here. And then it re-engages periodically. It's timed. And when the magnetron's kicked on, I can see that the light on the inside is at a lower illumination rate. So I've got it plugged in right now. We'll see if we can see if the little triangle thing in there is turning. What's that reflection? It's turning. Let's do it again. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah. Alright, well, we got her solved. Next thing is for me to find a micro switch that's suitable, of the same form factor, same shape, same design, and in my spare parts. Hang tight. Well, shut up, microwave. Here are my candidates. Here's my broken guy. The specs on this said it was a 1/3 amp at 120 volt. So I want to stay in line with that. I felt the clickiness of these with pressure in a tool, and I was trying to determine, which one would have an equal amount of pressure to engage. Like, I can feel that right now. That thing's still plugged in. Dang it. There. And it takes a little bit of force. These are all clunky. In this form factor, there's micro switches that are soft feeling when they click, and some that are hard. And I've noticed that the ones that are softer have shorter height buttons. So here's one that I have. Here's another that I have, and here's another. And I'm looking at the height of that button because I believe the height is going to make a lot of difference. Let's get some different light on here. Same shape. This one is soldered on, and that could be cleaned up. Like, remove the wires off of it, and then that slip-on connector will work just fine on this. But the reason this one meets the amperages, this one meets the amperages, this one meets the amperages. This one's not a good choice since I have these two, but if this was my only one, I've got a really nice tall button on there. It's the same shape essentially. It's got those two large holes drilled in the same place. All of them are pretty much identical. These are called micro switches. There's many different sizes of micro switches. The specs on this was 1/3 amp at 120 volt. I believe that's correct. I have to double check me now. Hang tight, I gotta find a reading device. Yeah, I'm back. So, yeah, this one here said a third. It was all right. It says 0.6 amps at 120 volt and 0.3 amps at 240. Well, this is what they mean by 240 is you still have a 3-prong wire European voltage, but as you increase the voltage potential going to an electrical item, its amperage can be lower, which means your wires can be smaller, which means you save quite a substantial amount of money on manufacturing and also natural resources and what have you. But there's a little bit to be said for that. But they have a hot leg, a neutral, and a ground, just like USA. Their connectors look a little different, but they have 240 volt on their hot leg and 0 on their neutral and earth on their ground. Here in the US, we have 120 volt, so we're going to draw twice the amount of current. I'm looking for something that's close to a half amp at 120 volt, and all of these are half amp. This one here, all of mine are made in USA. This one here is the old one, was made in China. Freeport, Illinois, USA. I don't want to use this one, even though it's rated properly. Again, I need a half amp at 120 volt. This says 1/2 amp at 125 volt DC or AC. But the button is a lot shorter. It just feels real soft to actuate. So I'm not going to use that one. And this one, half amp at 120 volts, 125 volts AC. Got a nice kerclunky tall button like I need. Been cutting myself up on my hand. But it's got screw terminals. And I'm going to go with this one because this is made in Japan. Same normally open, normally closed, and common configuration. Half amp at 125 volts. DC. I wonder why they didn't put DC or AC on there. Trying to make sure you guys can see that. Or you can just take my word for it. This is the one I'm going with because it's got slip-on terminals. It's design. There's my button. Mirrors this one. So I'll install it and see how it goes. Hang tight. Oh, by the way, I just crapped micro switches because I have a bin called switch, and there's all kinds of switches in here. I have 168 bins where I can keep stuff. Because if you ever get organized one day, you'll be blown away by how many categories of stuff you can come up with. Hello. And I've got various electronics bins too, so I've been working through some capacitors for a project. But let me install this micro switch. Hopefully this replacement just kind of snaps right in and everything works fine. And we shall see. Hang tight. Yeah, before I do that, make sure it's unplugged. Yep. There's my jumper wire. I had to offset that jumper wire to kind of mirror the offset connector that I'm dealing with. But the first step in troubleshooting is a visual inspection, unpowered. And you just kind of chill out, have a cup of coffee, tea, have a cigarette, or whatever it is you do as you settle in to begin working on something that's going to be meticulous. And you just stare, look around, look for some fundamental things like corrosion, wear and tear, scrapes, burrs, burning. And I forget what these connectors are called. Dang it, I used to know it, but these clear connectors. But if you ever run across these, and especially in appliances, when you snap them on, if you squeeze as you pull, you squeeze the back shell. I'm on the back side of it right now. If you squeeze as you pull, it activates, it deactivates a locking mechanism. Plus, the spade terminals that are in there are kind of special. They're kind of special in a way that when the spade terminal leaps onto these guys here, there's a little tab that drops in these little holes here. It's fairly expensive spade terminals. Most spade terminals people get, they just crimp them on, they slip right off. But there's another kind of spade terminal that takes advantage of the little hole in these tabs. I wonder if those tabs are, I wonder if they're magnetic. Oh, that's magnetic for sure. I was just curious. Yeah, I just ran across some, let's see if it's up here. Let's see if that's it. Nope. I'm having a squirrel moment. Sometimes manufacturers cheat on certain things. Come on, Scott. You gotta find it. Gosh, it's on my workbench somewhere. Copper-coated steel wire. And that just happened to me recently. I'll have to find it later. But anyway, I was just checking to make sure we didn't have some true shoddy switchery. But you know, this is 2007 microwave. It's lasted quite a while. Let me install this micro switch here and see if this thing is going to work. Well, looks like that micro switch just snapped right in place, just like it was made for it. That connector was a little discolored, and I went inside the connector with a really small tool and bent the little the wraparound tabs. I bent them a little further closed by pushing up in there a finishing nail to form it again. I didn't go in the connector. I was in between the plastic and the curved part. So I was going in like that's the tab, and I was going in there with a tool and closing them up a little bit. Maybe that's why it was discolored, I don't know, but you know, after so many years, you'd be discolored too if you were getting this old. So it may not be anything, but it's time to test it. Turn this light out. Maybe you can see what I'm talking about when I say that the lamp goes dim when the magnetron kicks on. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah. There's the microwave kicking on. Turntable seems to be working. Roll as well. Smell some heat, feel some heat, all is good. I bet that squirrel cage fan could use some preventative maintenance. Well, then that's it for this video. You guys have a great day. That's troubleshooting. And how do you get all these bins of parts? Well, we bought our house when I was, I think, 24. But I've been harvesting. You know, if you don't get a great big fat paycheck, but you live out in the middle of nowhere and things break, you've got to fix stuff. And a lot of my tools were given to me, first, second generation. Some of them I bought. Most of them were just gifts and things. But what you do is you end up harvesting parts, and you always have a supply. You don't throw away a vacuum until you get the switches and the cord off of it. I even have cords, mechanical and security switches, insulator stuff, circuit card heat sinks, terminal blocks, boots for meter leads, hooks, and what have you, fuse holders, you name it, nuts, bolts, heat shrink, U-bolts, plumbing fittings. So, yeah, you acquire the stuff because you harvest from old stuff before you throw it away, because you might need that for something one day. And that micro switch was probably laying around here for years, waiting to be used. The question is there anything on the old micro switch that I can make use of? Believe it or not, there is. I'm going to be busting the plastic open on this, and I'm going to be salvaging these little tabs, because these little offset tabs will go into a bin that I have dedicated to, well, there's a bunch of hose clamps, into a bin I dedicate called lugs. All kinds of different lugs in there, but it falls under the category of a lug, and sometimes you need a tiny little lug like that. So that's what I'll harvest off of this. I just can't see letting them go, because there's a lot of times when you need to plug into a spade terminal to transition to a wire. These will take solder good. So you could literally create a male terminal end and put your own heat shrink on it. And you can slip it into a female spade terminal or slip-on terminal And there's 2 of them there. I may not ever need them. Maybe one day I will. But they'll be there from now on. You guys have a great day. See ya. And remember, recycle. You never know when you're going to need something one day. Before you throw stuff away, harvest. Harvest for when you might need it. And then, for Christmas, ask for things like bins or storage trays and yada yada. Then you'll end up over time collecting things. I've got, leaf spring pins, hole punch clips. I don't even know what the hell that is. Toilet bolts, transistors, diodes, universal plugs, fuses, Zerk fittings, set screws, soapstone, all kinds of electronics. I don't even know what this is. I got one here. It's called small bearing. I found this bin here, this storage bin at Goodwill for 50 cents. This one for $2. A little ball bearing. Yeah. Oh yeah. I know where that came from. I got these here. These are kind of handy. All your lugs you'll ever need. And you can get a lot of this at Harbor Freight. I know that whole thing right there, I think, came from Harbor Freight with a metal backer board that holds it. Or no, it wasn't a metal backer board. It was little tracks, little plastic tracks that you drywall screw in the wall. That whole thing was probably like maybe $25. I've had it for years. Flea market around. Collect your tools. You always can find better USA made tools at the yard sales and flea markets than what you find today. And time will tell what you need, if you're a Mr. Fix-It guy or not, but you need to bring value to the family. And you got to be able to, on the fly, be able to pick up the phone and have somebody respond right away to fix your broke stuff, or you got to have the resources and the skills to fix it yourself. That's what you young men out there need to do. See ya.